Alright, you lot, welcome back to another episode of Hey Scotty. Show where I answer your burning questions, spill some gaming truths, and probably offend a few people along the way. But hey, that's why you're here, right? Today we're tackling everything from why XDefiant's my new multiplayer home, to my thoughts on a rabbit showing up with a Minotaur in a shooter. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe and all that bollocks. It helps the channel grow and keeps me from having to get a real job. Now let's dive in. Alright, first question from Top Lemonade on YouTube says, Hey Scotty, will you be playing XDefiant alongside Black Ops 6 Zombies? Absolutely, Top Lemonade, no question about it. XDefiant's pretty much locked in as my main multiplayer fix. Fast-paced, no bullshit gameplay and none of that engagement-optimized matchmaking nonsense that ruins experience elsewhere. Black Ops 6? Well, that'll cover my zombies and campaign itch. Let's face it, no one does undead massacres quite like Treyarch. But here's kicker for anyone else wondering. If XDefiant ever shuts down, which it won't, let's be clear. I'm never, and I mean never, crawling back to COD multiplayer. Not unless they grow a pair and turn off SBMM. But we all know Activision ain't brave enough for that, so I'd be off seeking new thrills elsewhere. You gotta stand your ground, yeah? Keep your standards high. You're either in it for fun, or you're just another cog in matchmaking machine. Next question from Johan Hammerland 1217 on YouTube says, Hey Scotty, what games do you play when you don't play XDefiant? Good question, Johan. Contrary to popular belief, I don't spend every waking moment on XDefiant. When I'm not causing mayhem there, I've got a few personal favourites. First up, Muse Dash, rhythm game from Para Games. It's like playing Sugar Rush with anime visuals and killer tunes. Clocked over 240 hours on Steam with it. So yeah, it's safe to say I'm hooked. Then of course there's classic Sonic the Hedgehog from Sega Mega Drive. Genesis for you Americans? I fire that up on Xbox Series X, and before you start rolling your eyes, yeah, I play it on a 200-inch projector. Excessive? Probably. But what's point in being an adult if you can't waste money on things like that, right? Oh, and mobile games. Yeah, I've got a bunch. Solitaire, pool, occasional word game. Something to keep brain ticking over when I'm on go. Sure, I've got an iPhone now. Not by choice, mind you. Only 'cause it's better for business. But don't get me started on Apple versus Android debate. We'll be here all night. So moving on, we have Salty Junior 426 on YouTube says, Hey Scotty, do you prefer coffee or tea? Now we're getting to real serious questions, eh, Salty Junior 426? Coffee, mate. All day long. Don't get me wrong, I've got no against a good cup of tea. I'm British after all. But when it comes to fueling those late night gaming sessions, no it's spot like a strong cup of coffee. Tea's for when you're pretending to be civilized, maybe having a chat with your nan or looking to unwind. Coffee? That's for when you got shit to do, games to win. You're fighting off existential dread that comes with modern multiplayer lobbies. It's liquid energy we're into get it done. And let's face it, you need that when you're getting your ass handed to you by some 12-year-old who's probably got more gaming hours logged in than you've had hot dinners. So yeah, coffee for me. Here's a good one from White People Are Awesome on YouTube. Says, Hey Scotty, do you think it's possible they could be secretly teasing future factions on shooting range? Considering there's been both R6 and Far Cry, and stuff in there prior to either of them being announced. I saw some art from Immortals Phoenix Rising there. How would you feel about a faction from a mythological game? Are you open to it? Or do you think they should keep away from fantasy mythology stuff? Well, White People Are Awesome, first off, top tier username. Secondly, I'm glad someone's paying attention. Shooting range is like a bloody treasure hunt for Ubisoft Easter eggs if you look closely enough. Do I think they're teasing future factions? Absolutely. I mean, come on. It's stuff with their own franchises like Rainbow Six, Far Cry. It's practically begging to drop hints. Now, about Immortals Phoenix Rising, I haven't played it myself, but my son has. Reckons it's decent. Would I be up for a faction based on mythology or fantasy? Mate, I'd love that. This game don't take itself seriously in first place. It's basically a chaotic sandbox with guns. So why not throw in some mythical creatures or gods? Game could use that extra bit of ridiculousness. And anyone who disagrees, well, they can go bollocks. Because I'd personally love to get gunned down by a Minotaur or a giant rabbit to give you something to laugh about while respawning. And let's be honest, games need more of that. Fun first, logic later. Next, we have DrawnNet on Twitter who says, Hey Scotty, have you had any problems with aim assist? Did view running a -2 on both? What's your thoughts? The age-old debate, aim assists. You've hit a nerve there, mate. Personally, I don't use aim assist on XDefiant. Never have, never will. I turned it off ages ago because it felt clunky, like someone trying to drag me hand across screen with Orc Grace or a drunken spider. But since you asked, I did try this -2 on both setting that's been doing rounds. I gave it a go just to see what all fuss were about. And yeah, it felt a bit more fluid. Smoother even. But for me, it's still not my cup of coffee. I prefer to train my own aim. No crutches, no shortcuts. It's like going at gym for your thumbs. You gotta put in reps to get better, not rely on game to do it for you. But hey, if you're using aim assist, go for it. That -2 setting feels a hell of a lot better than default. I'll give it that. Just don't expect it to turn you into a sharpshooter overnight. It'll help, sure, but at the end of the day, it's all about practice. And maybe a bit of caffeine-induced twitching. And then there's Voidman on YouTube says, if Bronny James played XDefiant, would LeBron still be in the GOAT debate, or would Ron Artest become a famous politician trying his best to free us from having to breathe? Alright, Voidman, you're throwing some spicy hypotheticals here. So, if Bronny James decides to hop onto XDefiant, what does that mean for LeBron's GOAT status? Look, LeBron's legacy is pretty secure, whether Bronny is fragging on virtual battlefield or not. It's already got enough accolades to fill a stadium. One kid playing a shooter ain't gonna change the debate about who's greatest of all time. Now about Ron Artest, I have to admit you lost me a bit there. Last I checked, he's a former NBA player, and while he's got quite a reputation, I ain't seen him try his hand at politics. Yet. Let's take this wild ride for a second. If Artest decided to jump on political ring and start campaigning to free us from having to breathe, now that's a bold move. I can just picture slogans. Breathe less, live more. It's like he'd be launching a one-man revolution against oxygen itself. But really, if we're talking about Bronny playing XDefiant, maybe he'd learn a thing or two about strategy and teamwork that could serve him well on court. So who knows? Maybe Bronny will take a few pointers from gaming and apply them to his dad's legacy. In the meantime, I'd suggest he sticks to Fortnite. That's where pop culture skins and all TikTok dancers are. Better to rack up some virtual wins and get caught up in crossfire or a ridiculous GOAT debate. Final question from Big T43 on YouTube says, while choice to not use skill-based matchmaking is refreshing, do you experience some matches where your team doesn't stand a hope in hell for some reason and wonder or perhaps have any ideas how XDefiant could balance lobbies a bit better? I find it baffling how, as somebody who admittedly struggles to even maintain a 1 KD, I have some games where I'm getting about 20 kills, 12 deaths, and next I'm getting 4 kills, 24 deaths. And I tried switching up factions or loadout to adapt to stop getting killed, but no, it's like I'm playing on dial-up and other teams on super broadband. In reality, I have about 400 megabits download, 40 to 50 upload, but it seems impossible to get a kill on some matches. Sorry, drawn out question, but that's my biggest frustration with the game. Any insight you can share would help me and hopefully many others so much. Mate, you've really set stage for this one, haven't you? Strap in, cause we're diving into trenches of chaos that is no SBMM matchmaking. And don't worry, I'm bringing a flamethrower. First off, let's have a little reality check. We asked for this, didn't we? XDefiant, bless its chaotic little heart, don't use skill-based matchmaking in the way other games do. And while that's refreshing, it's like asking for your steak rare and then being surprised it's still mooing. Without SBMM holding your hand and tucking you into bed at night, what you get is raw, unfiltered anarchy. Some matches where you're apex predator and others where you're bottom feeder in the shark tank. It's Wild West, baby, and nobody promised it'd be fair. Nah, Big T43, you've nailed problem a lot of folks are seeing. 1 minute you're Rambo with 20 kills, next you're training dummy for enemy team, barely scraping by with 3 kills and 24 deaths. It's like you're playing 2 different games, right? Switching factions, tweaking your loadout, none of it makes a difference. Cause some matches feel like you're bringing a slingshot to a gunfight. It's not just a skill gap, it's an existential crisis wrapped up in your 400 megabit internet speed. It's thing though, XDefiant's matchmaking don't completely abandon ship when it comes to balance. But without SBMM doing its usual nannying, experience fluctuates more than a politician's promise. What you're feeling, my friend, is reality of connection variance and team disparity. Just cause you've got glorious 400 megabits download don't mean you're immune to lag. jitter or packet loss. Remember, it's not just about how fast data comes in, it's about how smoothly it's processed. So yeah, some games feel like you're on dial-up while enemies running fibre optic straight to Pentagon. And let's be honest, team balancing in XDefiant, it's a bit like arranging deck chairs on Titanic. Mark Rubin and his merry band of devs are working on it, no doubt, but you're still going to get games where half your team is figuring out which end at control to hold while other side is stacking kill streaks like it's a bloody exhibition match. Now here's $1 million question. How do you balance lobbies a bit better without falling into SBMM trap? Because let's be real, nobody wants to go back to SBMM babysitting. We've moved past that. But what could work is a system that adjusts team balance based on current performance. You know, and I know this is a bit out there, but we could look at faction-based balancing. Each faction could come with different team advantages or weaknesses in certain modes, giving weaker team an underdog edge. It's not perfect, but it could introduce a strategic layer to matches that are otherwise pure slaughterfests. At the end of the day though, mate, you're going to have to embrace a bit of chaos. Some games you're a hero, other games you're a guy who dies in opening credits. That's part of fun, even if it feels like a swift kick in bollocks sometimes. So to anyone who's frustrated with wild swings in match quality, remember this: you asked for no SBMM, and XDefiant delivered. This is what freedom looks like. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and yeah, sometimes it feels unfair, but that's also where high points come from. When you go from a 3-kill match to a 20-kill domination, that's when it feels earned. You've crawled through trenches to get that victory, and that's what keeps you coming back. So keep tweaking those loadouts, keep adapting, but most importantly, keep playing. You'll never get better sitting on sidelines, whining about balance when what you're really dealing with is untamed wilderness at game that don't give a toss about your KD. Alright, that's a wrap for this episode of Hey Scotty. Remember, if you got questions or thoughts that you want me to tear apart in next episode, drop them in comments below. And as always, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and make sure you're part of the crew. Who knows, I might just feature your questions next time, and I promise to give it treatment it deserves. Thanks for tuning in, you magnificent bunch of misfits. I'll see you next time.